Shalom, first and foremost, and give our praise and honor and glory to Jehovah, Shimi Oshai, Bashim Rekagadash, give double honor to elders and apostles, great millstone who will and teach us sound doctrine and peace and blessings to the elect. As you can see here, I have this word procrastinate. So procrastinate, going into etymology, and procrastination is something that all of us can fall victim of. Sometimes, you might not do a video for such and such a time, and you feel guilty and say, you can't give an excuse, but you just have to kind of you have to just do you have to do better than before. Because me personally, I have been guilty of this as well. So all I can say is I will do better and I will improve. Now of course talk is cheap, so you have to put in work and put in action. Procrastinate. To put off till another day, deter to a future time. A back formation from procrastination, or else from Latin procrastinate us, past principle of procrastinare, to put off till tomorrow, defer, delay, intransitive sense of be dilatory, is by 1630. Procrastinating. The earlier verb was procrastine, from French procrastiner. I know you have a quote by one of them people, Mark Twain. Don't put off till tomorrow what can be put off till don't put off till tomorrow what can be put off till day after tomorrow as well. Essentially what he's saying is don't put something tomorrow that you can do. No. I mean, I go to the Sirach 5 and 7, because that's that's the first scripture that come to my mind when you're dealing with something like that. So make no turn to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. Because more times than not, the Lord you get ample chances. Because remember, the Lord is long suffering. The Lord will wink, and you don't take the opportunity, and you continue to do wickedness. The Lord will stop wink and say, it could you could catch judgment, or you could fall deeper into the work. Look at some of them. Look at some brothers that me and sisters that may have been in the church at one point, and they've gone into all different kind of things. You may see some of them just suddenly come off with all these reports about the ministry. You have some of them going to different kind of stuff like black conscious, the quote unquote spirituality, which is not really real spirituality, because we're spiritual because we have to be spiritual, but they're delving into the left hand side where they're talking about things like and I remember a female Jake was talking about this, and this is the behavior of some of these people. So they find, so what we say and what we show you in the scripture, that's a lie. But you can go to some random place online, no fact check, but because it sounds appeasing, you just take it and run with it. Like I remember, like you have to remember, because some of those things I don't even get into what the black conscience teach, because it's not necessary. We have enough. But a lot of it seems to be centric towards the woman, because one of the women that was like, she know, like, oh, you know, oh, it was a elder. I won't say the elder's name, but she never like what the elder was getting on to the female. But the elder gets on to the men as well. So in other words, she was fine when the elder was getting on to the men. But as soon as the elder talk about the females and thing, she was saying, oh, you can't talk about the females. You're supposed to be protecting us, but there has to be accountability. There has to be accountability. The elder has to be able to. The elder has to be able to show your fault. If you're saying that, she started to go into different things, where a variety of different things, and then as we see before, as we've seen before, they feel like they've got to a point where they know more than the elders, or they know more than the scriptures. Cause I know, like, I have a friend in the world. He must have read the Bible for 1 year or so. After a year, he come to the conclusion. he come to the conclusion that essentially, oh, it's not the truth. You have to believe in yourself. You have to pray to the ancestors. When, if you can receive it, we are our ancestors coming back in the third and fourth generation, because spirits come back. But yeah, you're praying to your ancestors. They needed deliverance as well. You're praying to your ancestors for deliverance. Your ancestors need deliverance. Doesn't make much sense. Of course, they went through that. They went through slavery and much hardship. But ultimately, it's because of our wickedness. But Esau took it to a level way past what he should have. And of course, there will be a judgment for that. But you try and communicate and tell some of these people something, right? Is most of the time it's the ones. Now, of course, you have some. You have some that will drop out. The knowledge will drop out the truth and fall into that kind of role. But most of the time, when people end up in that kind of role, from either from being introduced or just reading the scripture in general, it's usually a newbie got prideful, and all of a sudden he has more knowledge than other people. Same thing with someone else. Right. I remember I went to watch a horror movie when I time. It was the Sinners movie. And my takeaway from the Sinners movie, the Gadites try to warn Gadites try to warn him. But if anyone remember, it's just like the old fable of the crossover with that man Robert Johnson. Immediately when I watched the movie, I was like, yeah, that remind me of the old fable. The man that mastered how to play the guitar and thing. Yeah, but imagine you say you don't believe in that. You say you don't believe in You're bashing me. I say, okay, we know that the scripture said the fool has sinned this earth, that there is no God, which the God is talking about. The God is referring to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because the term God just means power. In Hebrew it would be Alahayam, although in the Yiddish it would come up as Elohim. In the Hebrew it would be either Allah or Alahayam. Alahayam plural, Allah singular. But just seeing as soon as trouble comes, the slight trouble, even the ones that the ones that say, oh, we don't believe, they're quick to call out for deliverance. But that's why the Lord said, I will laugh when your calamity come, and where calamity means, your turmoil. And we know it's gonna be like a time unlike never before. So we have to be putting in the work to, yeah, we're gonna slip, slide, drift, drop, but you have to get back up, because you can't drop and stay there, because you will fall deeper and deeper, and it don't make sense. So continue on and procrastinate. Like, for example, when you procrastinate, I don't want to make this long with it. This was more a quick hit. Like, for example, when you procrastinate in studying, yeah, yes, you may be studying for a subject, because you're more green in the subject, so you want to study to improve in the subject. If you lollygag on a weak subject, you're not going to improve. Just like with this truth, if you're not studying and you're not, and me, we can all take note of this. Me, I'm self-examining, I'm seeing my fault, and that's what prompted me to do this video after I seeing this etymology word. I say, as I say, Yehovah Shimi Oshai. I see the chariots follow. See the chariots, like, even when I'm not, even when sometimes I don't see them in my eye, I take my phone out and I see something zup 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 around. I remember I sent it into a group chat with some brothers. There was one I could see, but the next one there was a green chariot I couldn't see. It was moving around, but it was, it's like it was moving around quick, but it was in the same spot. So I know that the angels are watching me as well. So the Lord has been with me, as I've said it time and time again, since I've been young. Yehovah Shimi Oshai delivered me as soon as I started high school. I started to get certain dreams, introduced to certain things, and as I said before, it's been on and on from there. But as I say, you have to study hard. So you think about it, you're not in this truth to please a man next year, because as sad as it may seem, the man next year could drop out anytime. I mean, there's been brothers close to me, there's been younger brothers. When I say younger brother, I don't mean necessarily young in service, but young in terms of age, that have just kind of dropped out. And you kind of step on, you want, especially if you know the brother personally, if you had some kind of bond with the brother, you feel some kind of way about it. But you have to just continue, because make it yeah, First Corinthians 11:1. Be ye followers of me, even I also am of Yahushua Hamashiach. And essentially that's you following a brother's good example, as long as he's moving righteously. Because remember, iron sharpen iron, and fire spread. So it's good to look at another brother who's on the point and take his example, because that could push you. Because something like that can push you, especially if you see anybody that on fire, like a put a fire in you, then you go on fire, and then fire can spread to the next brother, and so on and so forth. So we don't have time to procrastinate, and this is not just this is not just this is a video to myself first and foremost, and of course to anyone who watches, listening, and learning, because as I say, we're all men. We're all, when I say men, we're all human here, speaking to I was going to speak of the J, but all human here, so all susceptible of when these chains of darkness were susceptible of slipping and falling off. So, but I don't want to make this long winded. In closing, I want to give our praises, honor, and glory to Jehovah, Shemi Osheba, Shemi Kakadash. Till next time, shalom.